my husband forgot my birthday. Again. He only remembered when he saw the cake I bought myself. Oh. Happy birthday, he mumbled. That same day, a man at work left a flower on my desk. Everyone deserves to feel special, he said. That night, I sat across from my husband at dinner, wondering if he'd even notice how much I was slipping away. He didn't. But someone else did. So, I'm a 44-year-old woman. Married to my husband, Mark, for 17 years. We've got 2 kids, 14 and 11. I live in Indianapolis. We're your average suburban family. Mortgage, jobs, dinner at 6, bills, sleep, repeat. Mark and I used to be close. At least, I thought we were. We met in college, both studying business. We built everything together. Our home, our family, our life. But lately, I feel like I've become background noise in my own marriage. Let me back up. This year was a big one for him. He turned 50. I planned a whole cruise to the Bahamas as a surprise. I saved up for almost a year, booked it all without telling him, got my sister to stay with the kids. I even made sure we had nice outfits for the dinners on the ship. It was my way of saying, hey, I love you, and you matter to me. He seemed genuinely happy on that trip. He thanked me, smiled, even held my hand a few times, which he hasn't done in years. We danced one night. It felt like a piece of us came back. Then my birthday rolled around. Just a month later. I'm not asking for a cruise, okay? Not even close. I just wanted him to remember. He didn't. I woke up that morning, made coffee like always, and sat with him on the couch while he scrolled through his phone. Not a word. Not a glance. He actually liked someone else's birthday post on Facebook while sitting next to me. I watched him type happy birthday, bro, and I just stared at my cup. My stomach sank. I waited a bit, thinking maybe he was planning something. Maybe he was going to surprise me later. He didn't. I took the kids to school. Stopped by the grocery store and bought a small cake with pink frosting. I picked one with little flowers on it. I also bought a single balloon and a cheap card. I wrote in it myself and signed his name because I couldn't bear the thought of having nothing. I set it up on the kitchen table when I got home. When he came back from work, he glanced at it. Oh, happy birthday, he mumbled. That was it. No hug. No kiss. Nothing. I didn't even answer him. I just walked into the bathroom, sat on the closed toilet lid, and cried quietly so the kids wouldn't hear. That same day, at work, something happened. I work as an admin at a mid-sized insurance office downtown. Pretty boring job, mostly typing, filing, and answering phones. But there's this guy, Daniel. He's in sales. He's friendly with everyone, but we'd never talked much before. That day, I was having a rough one. Holding it together with tape and string. Around 11 a.m., I came back from the printer and there was a single daisy on my desk. Just sitting there with a sticky note that said, everyone deserves to feel special on their birthday. I froze. Looked around. Everyone was just working like normal. A few minutes later, Daniel passed by and gave me a little smile. It wasn't flirty. It wasn't weird. It was kind. I felt like someone saw me for the first time in a long time. Later that afternoon, he walked by again and casually said, happy birthday. Hope you're doing something for yourself tonight. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say, yeah, my husband is taking me out. But I just said, thanks. That night at dinner, I sat across from Mark, picking at leftover lasagna. I watched him scroll through his phone between bites. I stared at him, wondering if he even noticed how quiet I'd become. How I didn't talk much anymore. How I didn't ask him about work or bring him his coffee in the morning. I was slipping away. And he didn't see it. He didn't see me. But someone else did. After that day, Daniel started stopping by my desk more often. Just casual stuff. How's your day going? Want to grab coffee at lunch? Nothing inappropriate. But I started looking forward to it. A week later, he brought me a scone from my favorite bakery. I didn't tell him it was my favorite. He just noticed. He said, you always get this one when the team does breakfast runs. I didn't even realize he paid that much attention. Mark hadn't noticed something like that in years. One afternoon, Daniel and I ended up walking to the park during our lunch break. It wasn't planned. We were both tired of the office, and he suggested getting some air. We talked about our kids, our jobs, old TV shows. It was easy. Natural. He made me laugh, and when I mentioned I hadn't felt like myself in a long time, he just nodded and said, I get it. It's like you become everyone's support system and forget you're a person too. I nearly cried right there. Nothing physical has happened. Let me be clear. But emotionally? Something is shifting. At home, I tried again. I asked Mark if he wanted to do a date night. He shrugged. Said he was tired. I brought up counseling. He said we didn't need it. Then one night, I got a text from Daniel. Thinking of you. Hope you're okay. I stared at that message for 10 full minutes. I hadn't gotten a message like that from Mark in maybe a decade. Not even when my dad passed. Not even when I had surgery last year. I replied. Thanks. That means a lot. He sent back a heart emoji. Nothing else. And just like that, something inside me cracked open. I'm not proud of this. I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I'm becoming. But I know I can't keep pretending I'm not drowning. This post is already too long, so I'll pause here. But there's more. So much more. Let me know if you want the rest. So, where did I leave off? Oh. Right. The heart emoji from Daniel. That tiny red symbol that shouldn't mean anything. But it felt like it cracked the dam wide open. After that, things got messy. Not outwardly. Not scandal and fireworks kind of messy. But quiet, slow burn, heart-splitting messy. I started to change. Just a little. I wore a bit of mascara to work. Nothing big. Just enough to open up my tired eyes. I wore the cardigan Daniel once said looked nice on me. I started taking lunch breaks again instead of eating at my desk. And Mark didn't notice. He really didn't. I even dyed my hair a shade darker. I asked him, does it look different? And he squinted at me, said, did you lose weight? I hadn't. I just stopped matching to him. Now, here's where things start to twist. A few weeks after my birthday, Daniel invited me to this small gallery event. Nothing romantic. He said it was something his sister was organizing and there'd be free wine and finger food. He even said, totally understand if you can't or don't want to. I said yes. I lied to Mark. I told him I had a work thing. He grunted and said, cool. Didn't ask what it was. Didn't ask who it was with. Didn't even look up from his laptop. I didn't sleep. The next twist came from a place I never expected, my daughter. One Saturday morning, I was folding laundry, and she came in and said, Mom, are you and Dad okay? I froze. My first thought was, did she see a text? Hear something? I said, why do you ask that, honey? She shrugged. You just seem sad a lot. And Dad's always in the garage or on his phone. I didn't know what to say. I just hugged her and said, thanks for asking. We're okay. But we weren't. And she knew it. A few days later, Mark asked me where I'd been that night of the gallery. He wasn't suspicious, more like confused. He said, you were gone late for a work thing. Was it a happy hour or something? I panicked. I said yes. I made up names of people I hadn't worked with in years. He nodded and went back to watching ESPN. Then something else happened. Daniel asked me to come over. Just for dinner. His sister would be there. Nothing sketchy. He said, no pressure. You've got boundaries. I respect that. And I believed him. But I still said no. I told him, if I go over there, I don't know if I'll be able to stop myself. He didn't pressure me. He just said, I'd never want to put you in a place where you'd regret something. The problem is, I already regretted everything, and nothing at the same time. That night, I broke. I walked into the living room and told Mark, can we talk? He paused the TV. Didn't look thrilled but said, sure. I told him everything I'd been feeling. That I felt invisible. That I felt alone. That I didn't even know if he loved me anymore. He said, you're being dramatic. We're just tired. That's what happens when you've been married a long time. I asked, do you still love me? He didn't answer. He literally just stared at the wall. Like I hadn't asked him the most important question of our entire marriage. That silence told me everything. But I stayed. For the kids. For the house. Because I didn't have a plan. And because leaving is a lot harder than people think. A few days later, I went into work, and Daniel avoided me. He didn't stop by my desk. Didn't text. Didn't even look at me during the morning meeting. It felt like a punch to the gut. I told myself I should be happy. I should be grateful he respected the line I drew. But deep down, I was devastated. The next day, he came over and quietly said, "I didn't want to mess with your head." I just whispered, "You already did." We stood there in the supply room for what felt like forever. Then he said, "I'm falling for you." I know I shouldn't say it. But I am. And I whispered, "I think I already fell." That was 2 days ago. I haven't told anyone. I haven't acted on anything. But I'm right on the edge of a cliff. One strong wind, and I'll fall off. Mark doesn't see it. Or he does, and he just doesn't care. Either way, I'm not sure how long I can stand here pretending everything is fine. I don't know who I am anymore. A few days after that talk in the supply room, things started to unravel, fast. Daniel and I tried to keep our distance at work. We avoided each other in meetings. Ate lunch separately. We thought space would help. That ignoring it would make the feelings fade. It didn't. I started dreaming about him. Not just romantic stuff. Sometimes we were just sitting on a couch, talking. Laughing. Or walking through Target with a cart, buying paper towels and granola bars like a normal couple. Mundane things. Things I didn't have with Mark anymore. Then, twist number 1. Mark got a text. I happened to glance at his phone when it buzzed on the counter. It was from a number I didn't recognize, but the preview said, "So are we still on for Friday night?" Can't wait. My heart dropped. I said nothing at first. Just stared at the screen while he walked back into the room. I asked, "Who's that?" He looked down, saw what I saw, and instantly grabbed his phone. "No one," he said, too quickly. "Spam. Spam sends kisses now?" He didn't answer. Later that night, while he showered, I took his phone. I know. I had no right. But I couldn't stop myself. The number wasn't saved, but there were weeks of messages. Her name was Tasha. She worked with him. She'd sent pictures. Not full-on explicit ones, but close enough. They'd had dinner. Drinks. One night, apparently, she came over while I was out at book club. That was the same night I'd picked up dinner on the way home and Mark had told me he was just really tired and not hungry. I sat on the edge of our bed for over an hour, phone in hand, reading every message. Every emoji. Every little lie. My hands were shaking. My teeth were clenched so hard they hurt. I didn't cry. Not yet. Just sat in shock. The irony? While I was pulling back, trying to fight the feelings I had for Daniel, Mark had already stepped over the line. Twist number 2? When I confronted him, he didn't even try to deny it. He actually said, "It didn't mean anything. It was just a distraction. You've been so distant lately." I laughed. Actually laughed. I think it scared him. I said, "You forgot my birthday. I bought my own cake." He stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. I asked, "Are you in love with her?" "No, would you have kept seeing her if I didn't find out?" He didn't answer. Just shrugged. That shrug told me everything. But then, something else hit me hard. I was angry. Furious. But also, relieved? I'd been carrying so much guilt about Daniel. Feeling like I was the one tearing our marriage apart. But now I realized, it was already broken. It had been for a long time. We just kept taping over the cracks. After that, I told Daniel everything. About Tasha. About the messages. About how Mark tried to gaslight me into thinking I was overreacting. Daniel listened quietly. Then said, "You didn't deserve any of that." And then he said something I'll never forget. "I don't want to be your escape. I want to be your choice." And that wrecked me. Because I hadn't even thought about it like that. Was I choosing him? Or just running? Twist number 3 came a week later. I got called into HR. Apparently, someone made an anonymous complaint. That Daniel and I were having an inappropriate relationship at work. That it was creating tension and favoritism. It felt like the world stopped. HR was polite but serious. They asked about texts. Lunch breaks. If anything physical had happened. I denied it all. Technically, I wasn't lying. But I knew who filed the complaint. Tasha. She worked in accounting. Our company had monthly mixers and events. It wouldn't have taken much for her to connect dots. Daniel got pulled in next. He told them the same thing. Said we were just friends. Said we talked sometimes, but nothing outside the office. It worked. They dropped it. But the damage was done. People whispered. I could feel the stares. The shift in how coworkers greeted me. Daniel kept his distance even more, to protect both of us. And I went home every night to a husband who barely looked me in the eye. We agreed to go to marriage counseling. I think he did it to say he tried. We only made it to 2 sessions. Mark said the therapist was taking my side. I stopped pushing after that. Here's where I'm at now. I don't trust my husband. I don't feel safe at work. I'm emotionally tethered to a man I can't be with. My daughter keeps asking if I'm okay. I lie and say yes. I haven't told anyone in my real life what's going on. Not my sister. Not my mom. Not my best friend. Because I don't know what to say. I'm the woman with the good life on the outside. Nice house. 2-car garage. Smiles at PTA meetings. But inside? I'm screaming. And the worst part? No one hears me. The HR meeting changed everything. After that, I couldn't breathe at work. Couldn't walk past the break room without feeling eyes on my back. I started eating lunch in my car just to escape. Daniel kept his distance, and I understood why. But it still hurt. I felt like I was made of glass, see-through and ready to shatter. Then came the night everything cracked wide open. It was my daughter's school fundraiser. They were doing a silent auction and some kind of spaghetti dinner in the gym. Mark didn't want to go. He said he was tired, that I should just take the kids. But I insisted. I needed him to show up for once. Even just for an hour. He grumbled the whole way there. We walked in together, the 4 of us. And who do I see 5 minutes in? Tasha. Smiling and chatting by the drinks table like she belonged there. Apparently, her niece goes to the school. I froze. My daughter was tugging at my sleeve, asking if we could get a cookie. I told her yes, but my eyes didn't move. And then she saw me. And then Mark saw her. And something passed between them, not just recognition. Guilt. Panic. I knew it instantly. Mark muttered something about needing to use the restroom. He took off. Tasha smiled at me. It was the kind of smile that says, I know you know. That's when I snapped. I walked right up to her. I know what you've been doing. She blinked. Excuse me? I read the messages. I saw the photos. You're not slick. And if you ever report me again at work with some fake HR nonsense, she cut me off, smug. Maybe take that up with your husband. He's the one who texted me first. Congratulations, I hissed. You got scraps of a man who can't even remember his wife's birthday. A few heads turned. I didn't care. I found Mark in the hallway and told him we were leaving. The kids were confused. On the drive home, it was dead silent. When we got in the house, I told them to go watch TV. And then I turned on Mark. You brought her into our lives. He didn't deny it. She was just someone who listened. Who didn't make everything a fight. That sentence broke me. You think I enjoy fighting with you? You think I wanted any of this? His voice rose. You've been gone for months. You shut down. You don't even touch me. Because you made me feel invisible. I was screaming. I couldn't stop. The walls in our perfect little house echoed with it. I begged you to see me. I begged you to care. And you pushed me away over and over until I had nothing left. His face twisted. So go run to your work boyfriend then. Daniel, right? Everyone's talking about it. That's funny coming from you. At least I didn't screw mine behind a school building while the kids were inside. We stood there, breathing hard. My hands were shaking. He looked like he might cry. But he didn't. He just said, so what now? I didn't know. I didn't answer. The next day, he stayed at his brother's house. Told the kids it was for work. They didn't ask questions. Kids always know more than you think, but they also pretend not to protect themselves. Daniel texted me that night. I heard what happened. Are you okay? I didn't answer. Not right away. That weekend, my sister came over. I hadn't told her anything until that day. I broke down. Told her the whole story, the forgetting, the cheating, the affair at work, the fight at the school. She sat next to me, holding my hand. And she said the simplest thing, you didn't deserve this. I cried harder than I had in years. That Sunday, I went back to work. I walked past Daniel's desk. He looked up, unsure. I asked if we could talk. We went outside, around the corner where the smokers usually stand. I told him the truth. I wanted you to save me, I said. But I think I have to do that part myself first. He nodded. He looked sad, but not surprised. I'm here, he said. Even if it's just as a friend. And for the first time in a long time, I believed someone meant that. So here's where things stand, Mark and I are separating. We're working out custody and finances. It's messy. I'm in therapy now. My sister's helping with the kids. Daniel and I? We talk. But it's different. Slower. No rushing. No expectations. I finally told my mom. She cried and said she'd had no idea. Of course she didn't. I hid it well. I don't know what the future looks like. I don't have some perfect Pinterest life waiting for me on the other side. But I have peace. And peace is worth more than any man who can't say happy birthday without being reminded. Sometimes love dies slowly. Quietly. Without a sound. Sometimes it ends with a scream in the hallway and a silence that stretches for miles. I don't know who I'll be next year. I don't know where I'll live or what I'll feel when I see Mark again. But I know this, I'm still here. And I see myself now, even if no one else does.